Today we're talking about my favorite subject, creative finance, and we are visited again by Javid. So welcome back to the channel. My name is Cody. This is Javid, and Javid has been on the channel a few times now. I think this is his third or fourth time joining the channel, and we're super excited to have you. And we're talking about creative finance, my favorite subject. Javid, what are some of your favorite methods of buying real estate utilizing creative finance?
So I believe that we have like conventional way of buying real estate and creative way of buying real estate. The conventional is like 80% loans, 20% down payment, and buying that's like conventional. And creative is, and you are already doing one of that seller financing, which is also very good. And at the same time, we have real estate options. Like real estate options are you can option the property at price A and sell the property at price B, and you pay the option consideration. And you must be a principal in the transaction. Optioner slash seller you can option it from the optioner who's seller as well, and your status is as optionee slash buyer. And then you can go ahead and first of all you have to prospect those deals from the for sale by owner properties, and then this is how it works. So it's something creative way of doing real estate, which does not require, you don't have to guarantee debt, you don't have to give your social security number to do that. So that's more like creative way doing it.
Can you give an actual example? You've mentioned to me before that you've bought some rental properties, you bought some motels. Could you give an example of a property you've bought utilizing that option agreement?
Actually, those are the ones we use in a different method. So buying the properties actually holding the properties, we buy it cheap, and we use the credit cards like we discussed before. The 0% credit card checks, we can use those to buy those. But we're talking about here is not the conventional, but the creative way, wholesale real estate, and option the property and sell the property without doing any work to it.
Yeah. So have you done that on, like, could you give an example, like one of your motels? Because you're based out of Michigan, correct?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Michigan.
You told me you bought some smaller motels, like 8 to 12 units in that range, yeah?
True.
Have you done any of those with an option, or did you do those a different method?
We just bought those purchase. Like we have a regular purchase on those. But option I can mention one of my deal back in 2005. So I optioned the building in Detroit, Michigan, and for $130,000, and which with like we have option consideration, which every state has a different consideration fee, which is Michigan is $1. And I'm kind of a generous person. I pay 10 more than the consideration, so I give the consideration like $10 on it, and we end up selling it for $164,000 to a cash buyer. And we end up having like around a bigger room, like $34,000 spread without doing any work to it. So the seller was very happy because I paid his closing cost. So we have a big spread in it, and buyer got the building. So everybody, it was a win-win scenario. And we have like with $10 a transaction get done, and everybody win in the transaction.
Does that option agreement get recorded? How does that work feasibly for someone? They're watching this and maybe they're in a market where they found a house, they can't completely close on it, get traditional financing like you did on some of your motels and rental properties. They want to do an option agreement because they got that idea from you today. What do they tell their attorney? Like what do they even tell the seller? Title doesn't change, correct? It stays in the seller's name, but they have an interest in the property now.
Here's the paper like a state option. It's called state options. So this shows that option to buy is you getting the right to purchase the property. There's no deed, no title transferred, and you sell that interest right to purchase to a third party, one out of the three things is going to happen. You may buy the property. It's a unilateral agreement. It's a right to buy. It's not an obligation to buy. You may buy the property yourself. You may sign the contract to the third party, or option may expire. Nothing happens. So you win either, and you can quit anytime you want. I quit. I don't want to do anything anymore. Option will expire itself. There's no consequences to it. And here's the option contract, one-page agreement. So, yeah, very simple. So you have option price at price A, and then you find the buyer who can pay you more. You can assign your interest to a third party. So as long as you're a principal in the transaction and the seller signed the contract with you, it's excellent. But you cannot do it without signing the contract and being a principal in the transaction. This is called practicing real estate without license. So that's illegal. And you can also involve your attorney to get it done if you choose to do so.
So this is very similar. It can be similar to wholesaling, but it's a way for you to actually get control of it for a longer period of time than a typical purchase and sale, because the option could be 1 year, it could be 90 days, it could be a few years. There's no limit on it. Is that my understanding?
Yes, if you want to do like you buy motors like you do the bigger deals, so you might do that as well, because you can have option on the property to get it approved by the city ordinance departments, and that's how people do take options, and you pay heavy option consideration on them. But to do this way, like smaller deals, so option consideration, every state has the legal consideration. In Michigan is only $1, so other states may have different. You need to check with your attorney accordingly.
Yeah, that's great. And have you ever bought a deal where your consideration was $1?
Legal is $1 if the seller is motivated. So they do not focus on the consideration. They focus on to move the property without paying the commission. Because when you option the property, you pay them the price you agreed on. And some people do the same thing with the purchase agreements, like you just mentioned, sir, wholesale real estate. So they do the purchase agreement and they sign the purchase agreement as well. However, in the purchase agreement, the intent is that you will buy it. And in option agreement, you may buy it. It's a right, it's not an obligation. Intent differs. And in the purchase agreement, your intent is that you exchange of promises. And in option, you have a consideration. It can be whatever. It's like $1 onwards. It can be $100. It can be $10,000. It's all up to you. It's all negotiable with the seller.
So that consideration could be similar to like earnest money, correct? For a purchase and sale agreement, you have earnest money. For an option agreement, there's just a consideration fee or an option fee.
Yeah, true. That's right. So you have the price fixed, whatever you agreed, and then you have the option consideration, whatever is negotiable. Then the terms of the option contract briefly, and when you will close, the time frame of the option, and if the option expires, the seller has his property. The only thing he gave us 30 to 45, 60 days, whatever we agree. And we can go ahead and do something if we can do something with it, like buy it ourselves, assign our interest, or option may expire. Nothing happens. We have not made any promises we have not kept. So you are faithful. Everything you said you did. If nothing happens, it will expire, and you will fail at your own time with your own effort. And he can keep all the option consideration you give him, as a liquidated damages, or as a compensation, whatever you want to call it. So I believe that's the best instrument, and anybody can do it, and attorneys can be involved if needed, according to that state law. In Michigan, since the property prices are kind of comparatively less, and the sellers are motivated, especially with the property which has some issues, and it's not mortgageable, and you can option the property and produce value to the transaction.
Yeah, I love the strategy. How much of your portfolio would you say you've used this strategy on?
So actually, this is not to, I mean, some of the properties we can buy if we choose to buy, or you can just wholesale it that way. You can use this as an instrument to wholesale it, but it must be disclosed to the seller. That way, all the parties are informed and they make an informed decision to grant you an option. It can be an exclusive option or it can be non-exclusive option. During the option period, you have equitable interest in the property.
Okay. And can you explain the difference for folks who are watching an exclusive versus an inexclusive option?
Exclusive is that, let's say the seller grants you exclusive option for 90 days. So he cannot sell their property to nobody else. So you have the exclusive right to purchase within that time frame. It's the right to buy, sir. It's not the obligation to buy. Let me make it clear. It's a unilateral agreement. In purchase agreement, you have the obligation to buy depending on the terms of the purchase agreement.
With an inexclusive option, though, does that mean someone else could come and buy it during that time period?
Yes, that's, in case, let's say the seller feel uncomfortable taking his property off the market, you can also offer that non-exclusive option. That okay, you can give me non-exclusive option. If I come up with the money to buy this within this time frame, I will buy it. Otherwise, you can also sell it to somebody else at the same time. So that way, you're putting the seller at no risk. You're not even taking it off the market.
That's great. Yeah. So if you can get your funds together in time, you can just get it done. If you can't, they can sell it to someone else that performs quicker. But at least it gets the paperwork going so you can start going to close. I like that.
You can option is a very good strategy. You can option $1 million property, and you can option $100,000 property. It's just the same. You can have one-page agreement. The bigger the agreement, more chances are you will confuse the seller. So make it simple and easy. It's like you're providing value to the transaction, and it's a win-win transaction for all the parties involved. Nobody is losing in it.
I don't see a lot of people using this, so that's solid.
Yeah, it's a little known technique. Not many people know it. So they use the purchase agreement to do wholesale. It can be option agreement.
Some people are going to get some good takeaways from this episode, Javeed, because I know some wholesalers that are getting stuck and they want to get into the realm of buying real estate, but they just keep wholesaling. This would give them an option to buy real estate and give them the opportunity if they could figure it out. But if they can't, they can fall back on their model and sell the option and make their normal fee, and then they'll learn from it. So I see this as a great transition step for wholesalers to start becoming owners, because it gives them more of an opportunity and to buy these properties that otherwise they would just think about assigning.
True. And about I remember that you mentioned a couple of times about holding real estate. So that can be sandwich lease options, holding real estate. So that can put you at no risk to lose your credit, your money, down payment, and your marriage. Because if you messed up with the transaction, and you might lose the marriage too, because you are in a bad shape financially. So that's important that so you can take the risk out of it.
Would you like to explain what a sandwich lease option is?
So we will do it in the next episode, which is like lot reservations as well as the sandwich lease options. So there's a little bit, it's a separate topic we can discuss in the next episode about both creative strategies to hold real estate. It's like lot options as well as sandwich lease options.
That sounds like a plan. Well, that will be a wrap for today. Javeed, appreciate you coming on again to the channel. We'll see you on the next episode for sandwich lease options.
And also kindly, anybody want to reach me can reach me at my Instagram at Javed, JAVED.real estate. So I volunteer information. Anybody have any questions, kindly feel free to reach me.
Well, I'm sure you'll get some messages because this was a very solid episode, great content. And for everyone watching, make sure to hit the subscribe button, message Javeed on Instagram, and we'll see you on the next episode.